Okay, hey everybody, this is Grace. And again, today is August 22nd, 2025. It's 7:58 p.m. It's getting dark. And I just did a really long video about the weird thing that happened. Had to tell a lot of background in order to tell that part. And about what happened and why it would be so freaky to us. Then I made a short, which was 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and I still, of course, couldn't get, the gist even. I did get the gist of it out, but barely in that time. But there was some things that I had to leave out because it was so long. The first one and the second one would have been too long. And that is how I felt about it, what hit my mind. And it was a weird thing that as I was talking about it on video, it dawned on me that this is kind of a turnaround from, what people have been saying. And Adam and I have been experiencing this. And we're not conspiracy theorist types. He's electrical engineer design. I am, he designed things like cell phones back in the day. Still our day. And moved on from there too. And I'm social behavioral scientist. My my majors were psychology, sociology. My minor was anthropology, which is, I could go deeper than that. I was a career student over 20 years, taught at college and university, on and on and on. And so no, we're not the type to be conspiracy theorists. We're not the type, but we know, we get it, and we were there then, before the time, we're older people, we remember the time before everybody had their home computers, their cell phones, or this or that, before, during, after, we were there, and know that, yes, there could be some devices. We didn't read all of our contracts you sign online, and there could be some devices turned on that would hear what you have to say and what's on your mind, and for advertising money reasons. Let's just say money, and just deal with that. But they're going to show you more and more about that particular topic, so you'll read the ads, and we could go there. We could say there's always a possibility, really. I mean, we've seen things that change so much that, over all these years, that we're just awed. And what it was before, what it was during, what it was after. It's just awed at how quickly, the speed of which, and back in 1982 or 1983, Adam and I were driving home from a vacation. Either it was our kind of like our honeymoon, or just driving back from the place, and it's a long trip. And I said, what we need is this thing to be right here or maybe over there, but right here would be best place for it, on the dashboard, where this radio is and everything. There was a map and would tell us how to get there, and get how to drive and all that. Adam, the electrical engineer design, said that's never going to happen. So we knew what it was like before, and to think, no, these things are never going to happen, and they happened. Even the things where you could see people's faces on your computer, on your cell phones. What were cell phones? They weren't back then. They certainly didn't look anything like they do now. I mean, didn't even exist for public. I would say most of my childhood, I didn't know anything about a cell phone. My dad had one because back then, at least where I lived in Texas, from what I understood, medical people in the medical field and police officers, along this line, those kind of people that you would think that would need to have something before the rest of the population, they had it. they had them. And my dad had one because he had to drive himself to and from the hospital to have what is it called? Dialysis. Okay, he was on dialysis, and so they let him have one too. But they were restricted. You can look online; it's not going to say that stuff like that. But that is what it was. Okay, it was that way, and so I'm probably one who knew more about things like cell phones earlier than many people. So back then, many people like I went to school with or something like that. As in that. Okay. Okay, I'm doing this thing again. I'm giving too much background. No, it's going to always happen. So I am what I am. I am how I am. But anyway, there's something that I wanted to say to get back to this part. Was when this weird thing happened today. Never anything like it before. Was for me to have this thought hit my head, and just out of the blue. It wasn't something like I was thinking along this line. It just bam hit me. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before, and so much was going on that it was a delay before I could tell Adam. I think maybe he was asleep or something at the time, taking a nap, something. And then whenever I did finally, we have a lot going on. And I actually did remember and had time to tell him. I told him, we both said it was yesterday evening. And I wrote it down the name down on an index card, Zimmerman. And said, just say the name, nothing else. Don't, he's a chatterbox. Man, a few words, moved to chatterbox after he retired, and said just say the name. Don't spoil it with anything else. I'm going to say the name next to my computer, not spoil it with anything else. Any direction, and see what happens. What the AI is going to do. But no, something like this had happened before, but not this deep. I've never told Adam. He's never told me. We've never heard nobody, anyway, say, hey, write it down and have the other one say it. Nothing like that. Okay, we've never heard anything like that. But I did that. It hit my head to do this. Okay? And I have been watching. I've never been much to watch TV. I've been watching TV for years now. Never was one before, since probably 2020. And, off and on watching series. I like series. I'm watching this one. I'm in the 5th season. I think it's episode 15 or 16, somewhere around there. And guess what name come up? Zimmerman. Today. We had been joking earlier today, saying, hey, has Zimmerman come up? And we would laugh and say that would be so weird, man, And there it was this evening. Almost 24 hours later. I'd say around 24 hours later. And I was watching the TV. I'd just gone in there and turned on that episode, the next episode, and there it was. And I have not watched it. I have not. I watched, no idea. And there's not. I went back and I looked to see if it was in the description of that, maybe somehow. No. Okay. And so I went, I was stunned. I got up and I told Adam, you need to come in here. And as he was walking, he said, Zimmerman, right? And I said, exactly. And I didn't say exactly, I just showed him. By the time he was there, I showed him, said, read the captioning. He could hear it too, but there's the name. The name I wrote on that index card. And we've both been kind of quite freaked out about it. But I'm not. As I said in that video, I don't get, I think underwhelmed, but it's not the right word, but it hints at it in a way, I guess. I'm just not I've had so many weird things happen in my life, not like that kind of weird, just weird things, just the things people do, just so many. And especially since there's so many wasn't my choice. Since I was born, I've seen that people have more histrionic behaviors. They're the drama queens, the drama kings, the mean girls, mean boys. They look at me types. They have to be the center of attention. They talk loud. They laugh, cackle really loud like hyenas sometimes. And, that kind. There's actually a histrionic personality disorder along with borderline, antisocial, and narcissistic. All cluster Bs in the DSM. Yeah, and I've seen so many that were so histrionic that I am quite the opposite. And this, people have always called me calm, cool, collected, on and on. But now, what I didn't get to mention in that last video was really how I felt, because the show is touched by an angel. Come on. Touched by an angel. Okay. Really, I don't want to laugh, because it really did hit me. Touched by an Angel is the show, the series I'm watching, 5th season. I've watched from first. I haven't watched every episode, but most of them. I'd say most of them. Some of them I just don't like. That kind of topic. Certain ones, like, I just don't care to watch about. Like, I've never been one on, I don't know if this one had any, but, on anything like wrestling. Never been a fan of wrestling. So, I don't know if they have one that's about wrestling in this Touched by an Angel, or this show, but, like on Quantum Leap, I think they've had that. I think in both, the first one and the second Quantum Leap. Okay. But anyway, this one, I have to say that what hit me more, and I really didn't tell Adam. I explained to him, I said, we really need to think about this was touched by an angel. And what was weird is I was walking in our living room the other day, and we were talking about this, and all of a sudden this, in a way, is funny because on the show, but because of what it is. But a light hit my shoulder. I said, where did that light come from? It's actually from, we have these really, in our house, with really tall windows, really long, tall windows. It's the design. And one was, some of the sun was peeking through, and hit my shoulder. I would think. I turned around, I didn't see it, but it happens. And I was joking with him about the show, that this is what they do. I said, yeah, I'm being touched by an angel. And I should not joke about stuff like this. I'm not being blasphemous, it was a show, touched by an angel, but not taking anything from the Bible and twisting it around or anything. But what I am saying is I need to take this more seriously. I am a Christian. And I'm a scientist, and I am a Christian. And I have no problem saying that. And like I said in that last video, as a Christian, I shouldn't have any problem saying it. I'm a real Christian. I'm not, I've said in the past, I said, I'm not one of those who are Christians on Sunday and Wednesday, all day Sunday, and Wednesday evening, and hellraisers the rest of the week. No. I'm a real Christian. I had the luxury, I had the privilege, I should say, of the Christian types of Christians I saw as a child. These were truly holy people. They were not like what I've seen since. And seriously, some of these places I've tried, other religions, other denominations, I should say, and the church, I'd have to explain all that one day that I went to and all that. So, but to get back to this, I need to take this more seriously, because as I was telling Adam, I've been going through this thing and saying, oh, this universe is just so big, you know, and we both read the same kind of thing that pops up on our computer, you know, and seriously, you know, computers. We both have our own computers, and you know, just, you know, stuff that they're saying, you know, new galaxy or new whatevers were popping up. You know, they had this and that, and you know, it just, you know, it's nothing new to either one of us, but just thinking more and more about it as I get older and older and all this, and then for this to happen, you can go watch that video if you want to know details, because it is pretty weird, I have to say. But like I say, I'm like kind that's just so mild-mannered, so I've seen so much, and calm, cool, collected, this kind of stuff, underwhelmed, and whatever word I'm trying to find. But this, it's kind of like I need to get the energy to be fit to really feel it. Maybe I'm just having trouble not having energy. It's usual this year because, and more than this, just this year because of a medication I'm on for, medications I'm on for blood pressure and such. Keep me a little tired. And, but yeah. Wow. It's getting dark, so I'm going to wrap this up. You can't see it through that. It's showing it lighter than it actually is outside. It's 8:15 p.m. August 22nd, 2025. But yeah. Weird. I mean, and maybe I shouldn't even call it weird. It's something I really need to think about. Anyway, wrapping it up. Talk to you on another video. Bye.